We continue to stay vigilant as we monitor the weather that is expected to be coming into the weekend. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, has issued an advisory for extreme cold weather ahead, as I was saying, of the expected winter storm in Texas this weekend. While ERCOT officials have said the state's power grid is ready to handle winter weather, the advisory warned about temperatures anticipated to remain below freezing and the possibility of frozen precipitation Saturday through noon Tuesday. The advisory did not include details on how or if the weather would strain the power grid, although officials have forecasted enough power generation to meet demand. And that's the key right there. The National Weather Service announced that a winter storm watch will be in effect for the Houston area from Saturday morning through Sunday afternoon. They're expecting heavy mixed precipitation and ice to accumulate on the roads. The conditions could cause power outages, downed trees, and dangerous travel conditions. And joining us now to give us his thoughts on the energy grid for this go-round of winter storms is U of H Energy Fellow and friend of Hello Houston, Ed Hurst. Ed, welcome back to Hello Houston.
Hi, Celeste.
Hi, and if you have a question for Ed, you can give us a call or send us a text, 713-440-8870.
So we're back to it. It didn't seem like we were going to have a winter, did it?
Well, that's one of the challenges. The polar vortex has become weakened by the warming. This is your business, Frank.
Right, that's exactly right. It is a product of global warming.
So it can dip down here and at any time. Last winter, it was wreaking havoc across Europe. Looks like it's our time.
Yeah, especially with the difference from last year being a nice fluffy 4-inch snow versus what we could see as far as freezing rain and icing as we go. It looks like Sunday morning as far as the forecast. But let's talk about the whole state because with the whole state in this, at least from I-10 north, it looks like we could really have a few problems with the grid.
And that's where we have a great concentration of power plants. In 2021, coal piles froze, natural gas supply lines froze. There's still allegations that natural gas was withheld. That's working its way through the civil courts. But yeah, we lost frequency in ERCOT. ERCOT began to shut down at 1:18 a.m. February 15th. And at the worst, we were 52 gigawatts short of being able to meet demand.
So when we were talking in our first hour, it was that a lot of changes, a lot has been learned from our past weather experiences and that things have been done to make this more acceptable, more possible to get through. From your point of view, have the changes been made that need to be made? Will the same problems we've seen in the past repeat themselves? Where do we stand at this point?
Well, I think the fact that we're talking about it means there's tremendous uncertainty. And just judging from the governor's volume as he protests that the grid has never been stronger, it's an issue. The state turned down 2 offers to build 9 gigawatts, 10 gigawatts of power plants immediately following the freeze. The state has refused to change the ERCOT model, which rewards scarcity. The state has done its best to try to handicap wind and solar, which thankfully have built up to such a level that summertime issues don't seem to be a real problem at this point. But we still are facing the fact that the coal plants average more than 55 years in age. The natural gas plants average more than 30 years in age. And we don't have enough gas, nuclear, coal, and long-duration batteries to get us through a cold winter night if there's freezing precipitation that takes the wind turbines offline. We're just short.
I want to go back to something that you mentioned right now, Ed. What reasoning did the state give for turning down those facilities whenever they had that opportunity after the storms?
They said they didn't believe that it was appropriate to give somebody a guaranteed rate of return. So
whatever that means.
Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway Energy, said, we'll build 10 gigawatts of power. It'll cost you $10 billion. That's what we'll charge you. And we want to make a 9% rate of return. Other utilities around the country, for example, Georgia Power, Alabama Power, Those are utilities that make those sort of commercial transactions, and that's exactly what Berkshire Hathaway offered, a commercial transaction. The utilities, the generators in Texas operate as merchants, and so they're kind of fighting each other to bring their power in. It's an electricity-only market, and so only those power plants that are operating actually get paid in the wholesale market. This operates differently than you and me buying retail electricity. It's a financialization of the electricity market that came about because of Enron and how they lobbied Governor George W. Bush, that well-known C-minus econ student at Yale. and
Touché.
Well, it's the facts.
So who benefits from essentially just having ERCOT as our main person who's in charge of the grid? And how do energy traders look at what are energy traders expecting whenever we're expecting a winter storm?
They're licking their chops. This time 5 years ago, one of my students went walking by and saying, "Hey, one of the guys made $60 million at my trading desk today." That was the Friday before the freeze. I haven't seen him since. I haven't checked the prices in the ERCOT market for this weekend, but I'm sure they're up through the roof. Keep in mind the price here can go from 5 cents a kilowatt hour to what the new cap is, $5 a kilowatt hour.
Wow.
So if we have the Frank, Ernie, and Celeste Power Company, and you guys have got 20 power plants, and we're telling you we need them all here this weekend.
We're going to charge as much as we can.
If 5 of them go offline, that can push the price up to the $5 a kilowatt hour. It doesn't take many to do that.
Yeah.
And so your 25, along with everybody else on the grid, will make $5 a kilowatt hour. And you'll only, forego 5 plants. And if you'd had them on, maybe it would have made it most 5 cents a kilowatt hour. There's a game here where everybody remembers John Nash and A Beautiful Mind. And that's exactly what it is. How can I manipulate the market to my favor? And this has been a problem with the ERCOT market design from the very first day. You can go on the Public Utility Commission website and see where the complaints are about withholding electricity to drive the price up at various points when the market gets tight. It doesn't always have to be a peak winter day or a peak summer day.
So this weekend leading into next week, how does that materialize? And everything you've said to us, the consumer at home, what are you expecting we're going to see? Be it outages, be it higher prices, be it what do you predict?
It's uncertainty. I think we can expect the higher prices in the wholesale market. The retailers that we do business with, Reliant, for example, Champion Energy, Frontier, you name it, they should have bought enough electricity in advance, but we don't know that they have. And that was a problem back in 21. They were caught short. I mean, we all remember Gritty was sued by the state. Well, and Gritty was the only one who played heads up, told the consumers, we're just going to price you directly to the wholesale market. Those retailers who played with our money and did not lay off a hedge or buy ahead are the ones that we're still bailing out now, years later, $4 billion in overcharges that got passed through to us.
Remind people, because some people may not have been here in 2021, and I certainly didn't realize back then that Texas is its own electrical grid. There's the eastern United States, the western United States, and then Texas. How did that come about?
That's a legacy of the Federal Power Act, I think, 1938. And the Texas delegation was able to convince the rest of Congress that this wasn't necessary to have a full interconnection with Texas. Texas is a large geographic area. It costs a lot of money to run wires back and forth across Texas and to the other states and the consuming regions, the generation regions. We have a couple of few lines, DC power lines. We treat those like separate generators in effect. But keep in mind that in 2021, there wasn't enough power across the rest of the country to help us. There was 7 gigawatts of perhaps excess power in the Western Interconnect. El Paso Electric is part of that because it's outside of ERCOT. But El Paso Electric was fully weatherized. They had no issues during the freeze. To our east, the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, which includes areas of the Woodlands, Kingwood, the old Gulf States utilities down to Beaumont, Lake Charles up to Manitoba, they ran short of electricity. The Southwest Power Pool ran short of electricity. They were able to draw on PJM, but what distinguishes MISO and SPP is that following the severe freeze in 2011 and grid failures in 2011 that caused fatalities in ERCOT, they actually followed the recommendations of the North American Electric Reliability Corporation and weatherized their grids. They treated a winter peak with at least as much urgency as a summer peak, because in the wintertime people freeze, people die in their houses. We had a couple of dozen die in the Centerpoint area, the service area, because Centerpoint was unable to affect rolling blackouts like they were supposed to do. I mean, we all remember downtown Houston being lit up like Paris while the residential areas froze.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Ed. We had Nathan Brunell with Centerpoint on earlier talking to us, and one of the questions I asked him was, what is the conversation that y'all are Centerpoint is having with ERCOT? What do you think is the conversation that they're having?
Well, if things go south badly with the weather, then ERCOT's going to be in a position of having to ration electricity, and Centerpoint may receive less than the demand in this area. If that happens, then Centerpoint needs to be able to rotate blackouts across the area. The euphemism, of course, is load shedding, but for you and me, if the lights go out, that's a blackout.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so 45 minutes here, 45 minutes there, and rotating across the service area, as opposed to just leaving the lights on downtown.
Well, wish us all luck, right?
Exactly. Everybody needs 3 days of water. It's not if the power goes out at your home, but let's say the water plant goes out. If it goes out for 10 minutes, we're on a boil water notice here in Houston for the next 3 days. Make sure you don't have to go anywhere. If the traffic lights are out, that's an issue. Regardless of whether or not the streets freeze.
Good point.
U of H Energy Fellow and friend of Hello Houston, Ed Hurst. Thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you.
Thank you.